Hi everyone. So this is part 2 to the video I just did talking about my experiences with the Algonquin healing and how child sex trafficking and sex slavery and all these different things coincide with colonization and the beginnings of it. So I just want to apologize for the video cutting off. I did bring up some subjects that were really dark and challenging to talk about, but I would never do that without solution. And so here, let's do, I guess that in a sweat lodge idea, you would do your death. So that means you would release all the things that are dark and traumatic, and then you would do your rebirth. So maybe this is divine. So I just want to talk about rebirth. How do we resolve these things that are part of all of our history, are part of the soil that we walk on in every country, every continent? You heal yourself. You do your ancestral healing. And there's so many different methods of doing that. And it's one of the reasons I use the term quantum holographic. So quantum means split realities, really, ultimately. So if we're made of whatever our situation is, you split the reality, and then the center is the energy and the velocity and the new information. You just keep splitting new realities. So there's multiple layers, multiple dimensions of what anything actually can be. That's why I think it's so important to try so many healing modalities. But I also think protocols are very, very, very important. It's the practices, the daily practices and the protocols that you stick with that really create the change. So one of the things that you, like I said, so one of the things you can do is heal your own ancestral connection. We are all in pain and suffering from this. I think we are a PTSD society because of it. I think it began here. There's not one single person who is alive now. Well, maybe not. Maybe that's not necessarily true. Not one single person that I would know who doesn't feel that pain and connect with how terrible that is, you know? So I think it's important because star beings are coming through and they're not being selective of your race, your gender, where you're from. They're not being selective of anything like that. They're just bringing forward information. But I think it's important when we're on this earth walk to respect the history of the land, because it's all of our history. And if we can respect it and acknowledge it, like for example, acknowledge the fact that it was illegal to smudge for Indigenous people until 1992 in Canada, of all places. I thought Canada was like the land of the hippies and like everything was okay. I was shocked when I discovered this, you know, and I read this thing where this woman saw her grandmother be beaten for smudging when she was a child. I'm like, are you kidding? So this is such a sacred practice. And I think that when you heal yourself, you'll heal your ancestry. If you try to respect, say you love teachings, respect that you love those teachings and they're for you. That not necessarily means that it's now something that you are going to start using in your practices. You know, respect that most people who share their teachings have a long story behind it, specifically the protocols of Indigenous people, because we are so attracted to it. And I'll tell you why. The colonization and the genocides that have occurred haven't just hurt the people of the land. It hurt the ancestors of the people that came here because they were no longer connected to their roots. They were no longer connected to their culture. So many people died of disease and famine and different things of that nature that came here, like as settlers. So I think that's really important, that when you find that you're attracted to the protocols of Indigenous teachings, it's because they're still holding on to their ancient ancestry, and that's really what your soul needs. We are star beings with particular information and particular skills. If you look at us on an astral level, we can see all of this story playing out. And the DNA codes and light language and family and land and minerals, kingdoms, and all the elementals, this is kind of like your map of how to come here and apply your knowledge. So and one of the ways you ground how you're going to apply that knowledge is to follow the protocols of your ancestry. So we all have that Indigenous ancestry, and there's protocols in that. And that really is what I have channeled and seen and witnessed when I look at it in its whole, in its entirety, the great circle of everything. Circle. What our soul is really craving. So one of the things that I'm doing and I have been doing to try to help resolve this is I've been meeting different healers and elders, people who have traditional protocols that they love to share, such as my good friend Mamerto Tindongen. He is from the Ifuego tribe of the Philippines. They're called the Shaman Mumbaki, and he is on his mother's side and his father's side as a shaman, and he has stepped into that role and he's taught me so many things. This piece that I'm wearing is in honor of Mamerto. A challenge to see, but this piece is actually made of ebony. It's a black wood, and it's the most sacred wood in the Philippines. And it's so sacred it's become protected, so they now just do small little pieces such as this. And the particular shape, trying to get a good angle. Whoop, there's a lot of light in here right now. The particular shape is a sacred geometry according to the tribes of the Philippines of the divine womb. So for me, I feel like these subjects that we're talking about and that I'm bringing forward about healing Gaia is the divine womb. Gaia, Mother Earth, is the divine womb. She's the mother of us all. And all of our roots have protocols that connect your DNA to her medicine. It's really brilliant, really. So it's one of the reasons that I have been gathering people to try to create these different shamanic events to help people meet different elders, teachers, and medicine peoples that are still holding on to these protocols, who have a good understanding of where we're moving as a society. One of the things that Mamerto said that was really brilliant, and I think this really represents my goals, and I learned a lot from it as well, is that he said, I don't want to use the term indigenous to separate or divide us, because we are all indigenous. So there's that. Another thing he said is this spirits and star beings, and they're not discriminating against age or culture whatsoever. So if you are a person of wisdom and experience, and they're no matter your age, and you meet another person of wisdom and experience, you have to allow that to be and not be offended by the fact that maybe they're not a particular indigenous that you are aligned with. Now, this is easy for me to say as I've been raised kind of without any culture. My family's been separated from our bloodline for a very long time. But all of my ancestors around me, I have about 200 at any time just around me, pushing me, guiding me, and encouraging me to speak up on these subjects. So how does this relate to the quantum holographic field? How does this relate to quantum physics? How does this relate to the electric universe? These protocols, these stories, these are ways to anchor your cosmic self here. Once you find your compass and your map of how to anchor, and I have other protocols and teachings that can really guide you and align that, for example, building your etheric medicine wheel. These are ways that we are able to transcend that information here and now. These are ways that we are able to resolve the trauma of our ancestries. And when we can resolve the trauma of our ancestries and the traumas of the land and acknowledge all of that, acknowledgement is powerful. It's not about being guilty. It's about acknowledgement. So when we can acknowledge that, and we work as a community, and we acknowledge respectful protocols, we go to things where everybody are welcome, like for example, powwows are open to everybody. When we can acknowledge these things and respect respect that everybody has their divine map and divine blueprint of here, and they have something to offer the table, and you have something unique to bring to that as well. This is when we start raising as a society. This is how we start raising into the quantum universe. This is how we start raising into that we're all related to the trees, the stones, the rocks, the flowers, the sky, all of it. And that, using those elements, it's how to be a star being on Earth. It really, really is. And being quantum holographic means many, many avenues of how you can be a star being on Earth. So that's just what I wanted to share with you today. And I really wanted that story to be clear from me. In order to help move forward. I recognize now I was actually going to tell more stories of things I've seen, but I feel I've talked about enough dark things for now. I would like to share a meditation with everybody to finish this off, this part 2, the rebirth. So I'm going to ask you, here we are. I'm going to ask you to breathe deeply into your belly, acknowledging that the air around you is love and light. It is creator. It has never, ever been separate. Just breathe it into your body. Okay. I've been guided to share light codes and light language singing to you from the Divine Hathor. So this is not something I'm used to doing publicly. So I'm summoning my inner courage right now. Just breathe with me here. Hathor. Nakti orta nekaratina harakatena titina rahu yerare nakera kaneta da. Hathor was a divine teacher and a divine channel for connecting sound with energy and light and movement. Let's breathe this into your body. By listening to the sounds that I just shared, she is now activating the memories of your celestial body connected with her teachings. She wants you all to remember. Oh, this is quite beautiful. That the cellular memory in your body is the same frequency as the tears of Prime Creator. The tears of Prime Creator represent the water of emotions. So your emotional body is in fact reminding you to look past the story, go into your cells within your body, listen to the light codes that are singing within yourself to transmute all stories that bring you trauma, all stories which interfere with your highest and best and potential and purpose of here and now. Breathe that in. Down to your crown, deep into your belly. Allow it to permeate into the base of your kundalini, opening the divine lotus of the mother within all of us. The seat of the kundalini. Allow that to transcend that energy into your legs, down to your toes. Breathe in the frequencies of Hathor. She has 1,000 names or more, not just Hathor. She was known in every civilization, not just Egyptian. She's a part of every single earth culture. She's also known as sky and wind. Breathe in her energy. Now we're going to call upon Archangel Raphael. His emerald green light glowing and sparkling and shimmering with beautiful sacred geometry in the shape of the ethers, the space in between us. Coming down through your crown, feeling the geometry of the relationship in your bodies, cell to cell, organ to organ, ovary to ovary, left and right hemisphere, masculine, feminine, root to heart, heart to mind. Breathe in his glorious, glorious sacred form of healing all relationships in and around you. The tone that's coming with this is breathe into the sacred geometry all around you, your divine reflection of self. There is only you and your reflection. What story will you now write? What story will you release? We are not human. We are vessels of love and light in human form, here because we have the knowledge and the wisdom of reuniting every single being and every single element here on Gaia, Mother Earth, the mother of all of us. The ovaries of the divine creatrix, Sophia. We are the great void. Anything you want, you may create. All you need to do is empty your old story and write a new one and share it. Continue to breathe in. These frequencies are activated in you. They won't stop. I suggest drinking a lot of water, and please refrain from eating any foods surrounding death. Only eat for love and light. And now close the circle. Spirit keepers, elements, shaman and medicine people in the gates of the east. And now close the gates. We thank you for your love, support, and guidance. Spirit keepers of the north, elements of the north, the mind and the air, the prophecy animals, the white polar bear, the white buffalo, the white wolf, the white fox. We thank you for your love and support. We now close the gate. Spirit keepers of the west, the physical, the earth, the medicine people, the dreamers, the people of the night, the shamans. We thank you for your love and support. We now close the gate. Spirit keepers of the south, the elements of the south, water, emotions, pixies, the fairies, the shamans, the medicine people, the singers. We now close the gate. We're grateful for your love and support. The mother beneath us, the crystal kingdoms, the mineral kingdoms, the creepy crawlers, the crystal core, the celestial fire and the earth beneath us. We thank you for holding us as we've gone through these stories to resolve and move forward. We now close the gate. Spirit keepers above us, the sky people, the monks in the sky, the moon, the sun, the stars, the planets, the celestials, the language keepers of the highest realms. We thank you for your love, support, and guidance. We now close the gate. Spirit keepers within ourselves, that my place of courage, the place of hope, the place of trusting to move forward even when you're scared. We thank you for listening and receiving and transmuting today. We now close the gate. It's always an honor to share